Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the comic book industry. Specifically, we're going to talk about crowdfunding comic books, and here comes a new challenger.
I was going to say, I thought that was for people that wanted to be professionals or amateur hour and everything else.
Yeah, we're going to talk about kind of our experience with the history of crowdfunding, because there's a lot of talking about crowdfunding comic books this year. Mm-hmm. But in years past, people who crowdfunded their own comics were outright mocked.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mocked by quote-unquote professionals in the comic book industry. And it wasn't that long ago. It was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Yeah, something like that. You've been around a while.
Oh, yeah. If you decided to crowdfund a comic book 10 or 12 years ago, professionals would say you were just an e-beggar. That if you weren't good enough to get published, then maybe you shouldn't do comics. And,
et cetera.
But now that there's money to be made in crowdfunding, now that the direct market is dwindling, now we've got people like, Keanu Reeves doing Kickstarter, making millions of dollars for Boom. Now it's okay. So now we've got this new platform called Zoop.
I think this is a horrible name.
Which sounds like Goop, like Gwyneth Paltrow's Vijay scented candle company.
Yeah.
It's a startup, and it's a bunch of comic book professionals trying to start their own little comic book crowdfunding platform outside of Kickstarter, which I'm kind of like, why?
Yeah, well, because it's a basically a circle jerk, because if you're looking at it, they're already like their friends who are getting their campaigns. It's not like anybody can go and put a campaign on there. It's just that it's basically who they have chosen to have campaigns. Because I went to their page. And when you go to their page, it's like it doesn't have any place where you can, launch your own. No, because I think they're curated by who their friends are.
This is gonna go so well. I just caught this part.
Oh my God!
Former Kickstarter comics outreach lead Camilla Zhang is an advisor to the company.
Oh, that's a selling point? Until
she gets tired of it and quits.
Well, that's funny because a lot of the books they're starting out with, would be the pro people that the ones that would not maybe get their stuff picked up all the time on Kickstarter when she was there.
Yeah, this is interesting. This does feel more like a publisher that's just doing its own kind of in-house crowdfunding. Hasbro does this with Hasbro Pulse. They'll put items up for pre-order on their website. They don't use a third party.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, and they have a goal, like if, they do a Transformer or they do a Star Wars something,
Well, the one guy is the guy who did Comics Blitz.
Oh, that didn't work out.
No, it didn't. That's what I'm saying. And then another one is Eric Moss, who spent time at IDW as a publisher, a senior director of licensing and stuff. And that's funny because Chris Ryle, however you say his name, he's one of the ones they have a project coming up with soon. No nepotism there in any way, shape, or form.
That sounds like people are trying to jump ship, and they're like, it's a publisher, it's a crowdfunder, and we'll talk about this because honestly, people don't need Kickstarter and IndieGoGo, but
it gets better.
Oh no, how's it?
The company is funded by friends and family with plans to reassess funding. Friends and family to make funding for their friends. That's what this is. It's about the whole thing is based on giving this new crowdfunding service will offer beyond those available from other platforms. If you're a chosen one, they make it out like they make it like we're going to offer all this stuff. Well, right now they already have it set up who's going to be in it, and no one else can have this. Setup management, pledge management, production fulfillment, and marking on an a la carte basis.
This has all been done before, and it's always failed.
Printing and fulfillment services will be contracted from a third-party vendor on behalf of creators. Yeah,
this is a publisher. They are a publisher that's trying to integrate crowdfunding into their publishing plan, which, oh God. Okay, we'll talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rant scads. We're over 193,000 subs. Almost 194. We're like 100 away from 194.
Already?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you guys are
rock.
awesome. So anyway, they want to see what we do for 200,000. I have no idea.
I don't know what we're gonna do for 200,000. Anyway,
we're gonna launch our own publishing company called Gloop. Floop. No. I don't know. No, we're not. Poop. Oh yeah,
it's missed opportunity there, guys.
Poop. Fish poop.
You should call it poop for the polished turds. Anyway, so some announcements for the platform include. Can you go down?
Yeah.
Slow City Blues. It has a list of people. It's being developed as an animated series, according to the announcement.
Oh God, it's already the Hollywood. They're already thinking Hollywood.
But it was originally planned for launch by Image Comics in 2020. But it's not. Wait. It was planned for launch by Image, but now it's going out on Zoop.
Jim Shooter is the editor.
No, not anymore. No longer associated.
Oh shoot, that was. But wait, you lost Jim Shooter. But you gain Camilla Zhang.
Well, this is
we need to insert some crickets or something
here.
Well, this
comic had Jim Shooter.
Yeah, but you lost Jim Shooter and you picked up Camilla Zhang.
So now, here's the other projects. Ready? First volume of Scarlet Couture by Des Taylor was originally published by Titan Comics, but now the Zoop project will include a new edition. So it's a reprint of the first volume along with a second volume. It's everybody who already has fucking connections. The whole point of crowdfunding was to make sure that people who didn't have a chance would have a chance. These people whine and bitch and moan and scream on Twitter because how dare they? They're supposed to be helping indie creators, and then here they go and start another thing that basically does everything for name people who come in who are friends of so and so.
Let's go back to the Wayback Machine because we were there at the very beginning of Kickstarter.
Yeah, real quick. Other upcoming projects include Heads Will Roll and Scarlet Couture. Zoop has confirmed that Paul Cornell, Chris Ryle, how you say it, Jay Gonza will also have projects launched via the platform. So they decide. It's them making a platform for their friends, is what this is.
Yeah, it's like, we want our own personal Kickstarter / publisher, and
so we can dictate everything, but it's only for our friends.
Yeah, we'll read the interview with the guy running it. Should we just remind people
go ahead.
of what the mainstream comic book industry thought about?
Oh yeah, they were
this is
same with webcomics too. Do they try and take that over?
Yep, 2012, the Comics Journal, which is owned by Fantagraphics, and Fantagraphics had to do a Kickstarter to survive about 2 years later.
And they gave them a heck of time for that.
Yeah, they did. Kickstarter, guess what? You don't get to call yourself underground if you're on Kickstarter. Guess what else? You don't get to call yourself a publisher either. You're just someone who pays a printing bill. Take pre-orders on your site, sell your boots, do what you have to do, but don't go begging for money so that you can then give 5% of it to Amazon, which is what they used back then, which is actively trying to put you and the stores you hope to shove this shit into out of business. I'm all for raising money for art, but it would be nice if there was some sense of proportion. No one needs this anthology, but might do fine in the market. I'm so sick of seeing perfectly viable, but not smart, interesting, viable comic book projects on there. People can do what they want, but when you're out there hustling dough for your movie-ready zombie baseball graphic novel or fucking Cyberforce or your poorly thought-through Garo book, you just look like a schmuck. You look like a schmuck. This is coming from the Comics Journal. This was coming from First Second Books, which publishes YA graphic novels. And they were basically like, why are you going to Kickstarter? Kickstarter is a joke. You should have come to us first.
Yeah, but you know what? We've gone to you first. And you got to meeting, and because it was a conflict with somebody else who had a conflict of interest already that was in there with something they were doing, it doesn't get picked up. But you go to meetings. So what, and let's be honest here. Of all the books that First Second or other publishers look at, only a tiny handful ever get picked because they only can do so many books a year. And of those books a year, a whole bunch of spots are already taken by people who they're friends with and who they've already done other deals with, that they already get a whole bunch of those spots. New people aren't usually let in. It's a club.
Oh, it absolutely is a club.
So it's this Zoop, whatever.
Zoop.
The Zoop thing. It's a club. It's a club.
It is a club. It is a gated Kickstarter
community
for already established comic book professionals.
And Camilla
Zhang to pitch Hollywood deals. Mm-hmm. That's what this is all about. So ICV2 is asking them questions. Obviously, there's a couple of comics crowdfunding platforms out there. What are the things that you saw that were lacking in the current options?
What are the things that were lacking? What, they didn't kiss your ass because you were pros?
Yeah, we don't want to get lost in the riffraff. We don't want all these indie people and their garbage comics to take away from our garbage comics. Mm-hmm. Jordan Plosky says the biggest glaring thing is definitely on the creator side. What I mean by that is in order to run a crowdfunding campaign, it may take you months of time before you even launch that campaign. Yeah, so now during those months of work, maybe you're learning how to use one of those crowdfunding campaign sites. One of our competitors, Kickstarter,
Or IndieGoGo.
Or IndieGoGo, one of our competitors.
It takes time to learn that technology. Not really.
This is like...
It's really easy. It's not that hard.
Oh my God, this is like you were kind of throwing shade at that local marketing guy. Like, I can teach you how to Facebook.
Yeah, but your Facebook has like no followers and it's a joke. Yeah, wait. It's gonna take you some time to learn the technology.
Oh, for God's sake.
Is it that hard?
No.
No.
If you're not the kind of... So here comes Camilla Zhang and the startup. But, oh my God, this is a disaster waiting to happen. If you're not the kind of person to put in that time to run this campaign by yourself, now you're talking about researching, vetting, negotiating with a campaign manager.
You don't need
or a marketing person. What the fuck?
You know how many people do their own campaigns and they have none of these things and they still kick your ass? A lot.
That's where the salt is coming from. You know how many people can do this without hiring a third party to do it for them? Like 99% of people.
You know who else can do this for you and they're not mentioning?
Who?
It's like BackerKit.
Oh yeah, BackerKit. Yeah, BackerKit.
They were talking to us before, and they do all this event things for you too.
Promotion and they do help with that. You have to do your own printing. Yeah, okay, and
so this is the way it's been since it started. I don't understand why this. Well, you have to do things yourself. You have to work.
Potentially your own fulfillment. Oh my God,
your own fulfillment.
It's taking away from the craft. It's taking away from the craft.
No. Let's be honest here. It's taken away from Twitter. You're going to have to give some of your Twitter time. So you can't tweet. You have to go package. And they don't want to do that.
That takes a lot of time to figure out who to talk to, what you should be paying these people, and putting together a team. Here's the thing. The vast majority, unless you're doing, again, Keanu Reeves level numbers, the vast majority of comic book Kickstarters do under $100,000 in sales. That is something that a relatively small team can get. Well, yeah,
and not just that. There are other places that have been around for years that will do fulfillment for you that are that are vetted and have references and experience. I just love it. It's kind of like we're the elite club, and I'm sure they take a hefty chunk, for all this and tell you it costs way more than it does.
Yeah. Oh, this is basically a bunch of established pros who know that the ship they're on is sinking, and they're like, we got to get on this crowdfunding thing, but we don't know what the hell to do.
They built a bridge, and now that the troll's underneath it, you have to pay. You have to pay to cross the bridge.
This is the same. Not these people in particular, but talking about how the comic book industry threw shade at Kickstarter for years. Remember Archie Comics and how Archie Comics was shamed out of doing a Kickstarter.
And they canceled it.
And they tried the same bully techniques on Boom Studios, and they didn't listen.
Did. They tried the same thing, and now they're like, well, we should be the ones controlling this, so we'll get the cut.
Oh my God. Okay, aside from the platform, we offer all those services in one place. We eliminate months of time.
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard. That's just in the preparation.
Oh boy.
But wait, there's more. Zoop handles the campaign management and the marketing, and they bring in Camilla Zhang. Hopefully she doesn't quit before they get the book out the door. Now all of a sudden, we're taking all that work off the creator's plate during the campaign as well.
It's not that hard to do marketing and all that. You can do press releases pretty easily yourself. It's really not that complicated.
You can. And it's okay. It's no longer a full-time job for those creators, which frees them up to work on their next creator-owned project or continue doing their work for hire at the same time we're handling their crowdfunding.
Amazingly enough, guys, we were able to do crowdfunding and still do everything we do on a daily basis and get all our work done at the same time.
So this is ICV2. They seem very skeptical. They seem very skeptical. They're like, we already got 2 or 3 platforms that do this already. So why you? In addition to the technology that the existing platforms have, which have been proven and been around for a decade now.
Yeah, and people aren't going to trust them. This is a new thing. Why are they going to trust it?
Yep. They also bring a market. There are existing users who can be directed to a particular campaign. How do you plan to get that audience?
How do you plan to get that audience? Because people go on there, a lot of times they go on to back one thing and they turn out and back something else.
There's a bit of a misnomer about that. Now, he's sort of true. Between like 85 and 90% of a campaign's traffic comes from their own social network, from their own backers. That actually is true-ish.
Yes, ish.
A lot of people, obviously if they go to Kickstarter for Keanu Reeves,
they back other projects.
But that doesn't mean that they're not going to, poke around and be like, oh, there's some other comics.
That's what I'm saying. They might look around at other ones. People are complaining about it, but it might be somebody who never was going to come there, came there for that project, and then back like 3 others that they would never have seen normally. But this seems like they're only doing 1 or so books at a time.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
A lot of people aren't necessarily going on Kickstarter and browsing for something to buy. They're going because Scott Snyder put up a campaign. Oddly specific, Camilla Zhang, who was working on Scott Snyder's campaign, I think, ducked out before it was done. Scott Snyder put up a campaign, and they're going to purchase that Scott Snyder book, and they're probably not going to buy anything else while they're there.
Oh, well, that's probably coming from her because she was the one that was trying to make the argument. And I think it was Spike Troutman was even saying people go there for that one big one. They most likely will look around and might back other things. And I agree with her on that.
Yeah, because what happens is a lot of indie creators try blaming the big Kickstarters on why their Kickstarter is not doing well. And it's not an either or situation. It's not zero sum. It's people. They come in for, whatever the marquee attraction is. Oh, it's kind of like a comic convention. You go to a comic convention, people come in for the big celebrities that are going to be there, but then they're also going to hit Artist Alley.
And they might pick up other stuff.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what, and I remember she even said that. And I was like, I agree with her on this.
Yeah, I agree with her on that. Because if William Shatner's not bringing people in or whatever, nobody's going to go to the con anyway. So nobody's going to go to Kickstarter anyway. They're not coming for you because they don't know who the hell you are.
But they might back your project because they saw you over there when they were there for somebody else. Yeah.
The difference is, they have millions of people that go through their site, but those millions of people are across all categories: film, music, animation, everything. It's not necessarily comic specific.
Right, but I've gone in there for comics and I've backed projects that had nothing to do with comics that were games. Or I've gone in for games and backed something else that had nothing to do with games.
Yeah, when we started backing projects, we actually didn't back comics projects at first. We backed a lot of video game projects. That was what we backed at first, and then tabletop games, and then eventually comics. But the thing is that Kickstarter and IndieGoGo, they have 10 plus years in it. They have become synonymous with comic book crowdfunding specifically. Like people go there specifically for that. Maybe we have a bit of a smaller pond. Every campaign we're running is going to be featured on the homepage, at least.
All your friends are featured.
The visibility is definitely there. It's comics focused. We're able to draw from each of our clients' pools as well as our own backgrounds and the connections we have. Camilla Zhang. I hope she didn't take Kickstarter's mailing list with her.
Oh, I hope not.
Yeah, that could be awkward. Ironically, Kickstarter is actually doing better in comics crowdfunding now that she's not there.
Oh, it's a shocker.
Shocker. There's organic reach and there's paid reach. We're going to do some Facebook ads. On Kickstarter, this is ICV2, seems very skeptical. On Kickstarter, there's an opportunity for retailer levels as that in a range of product development. It's already there. We have clients who were very interested in that. We have relationships with existing retailers. That is actually one, I guess, pro for that is that since these people are used to dealing with comic shops, but that's something you can do yourself. How do you see this interacting with trade distribution? Are some of your creators also going to distribute the trades, or do you see Zoop projects as crowdfunded only releases? We've heard different perspectives from different creators. Some see crowdfunding as a way to launch a book and then sell to a publisher.
Gage, no, okay. We see this way to show that we made a lot of money off of it so the publishers will take it. Which is funny because when other people were doing that, they threw so much shit and shade at them. It's ridiculous. And now they're going to do it too.
Yeah, again, I remember that there were some crowdfunding campaigns around 2013, 2014. They did the crowdfunder, and then they went to Image Comics or something, and people were like, how very dare you, or the Dark Horse or something like that. Back to First Second Books. I know there are a couple of books that did 6 figures that they actually wound up picking up. And I think this was sort of low-key, why didn't you pitch it to us first? And my answer to that is you probably wouldn't have taken it until you saw the numbers.
You get more money that way because at least you made the money already off your people. You probably make more money off of that than you're going to make off of your advance and shit.
That is true. I actually talked about that on Twitter yesterday. I was thinking about that. And I'm like, we know what the advances are. And we know what the royalties are like. And, short of making Dogman comics or being Raina Telgemeier, your chances of actually making a living in comics are much greater at this point in time if you crowdfund your own book than it is to go to a publisher, get a $15,000 advance or whatever, have to live on that for 3 years. The book doesn't come out for 3 or 4 years. You don't get a damn cent more until you pay back your advance. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I'm sorry. Why can't you get your book picked up? Because First Second's too busy doing the book. Go back up. Doing the book, California Dreamin', the story of Mama Cass and the Mamas and the Papas. Because that's going to sell like hotcakes.
It would if they put Scooby-Doo in it.
I don't. Well, because she wasn't Scooby-Doo.
She was in Scooby-Doo.
But I'm just saying. Do you see a huge demand for a book about Mama Cass, the Mamas and the Papas right now? That people will be beating down the door for that book.
Kids don't even know who they
right,
are.
But that's why. Why do they not do that well? And they barely earn out because they keep picking stuff like this because they're trying to get awards and not actually trying to sell damn books. I mean, I'm sorry, no one's going to give a shit about the Mamas and the Papas book except for older people, and those are people you call boomer and hate anyway.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, so Wilson Phillips. Okay, well, no, you don't.
No, they probably don't even know Wilson Phillips.
Yeah, okay, well, like, their parents had and I could just see this, like, yeah, oh, man. Who is this for? Who is this for? Nobody remembers.
It's just a juxtaposition from the other books they kind of do, like,
Okay. Oh, well, at least they can put to rest the rumor that she died choking on a ham sandwich.
Which was horrible rumor.
That was a horrible rumor. That went around
nice.
I thought that was true. I remember watching that episode of Scooby-Doo, and my grandmother...
Well, she died on the ham sandwich?
Yeah, no, not in Scooby-Doo. My grandmother's like, she died choking on a ham sandwich. I'm like, I don't... Really? I'm like, that's... Really? And I was like, oh, okay. And I thought that for years. I guess it's not actually the case.
No.
Anyway.
It was just a mean thing to say.
It was a very mean thing to say. So anyway, yeah, good luck, I guess.
But they're not saying, they keep saying creators, and they're making it out like it's going to be open to everyone.
It's not.
But when you go to their page and look around, it doesn't have any place really where you can view the campaign that's active. You can look at the coming soon, and it's just basically, and look right here, pre-orders your way. It basically tells you right out. But if you go to who we are, it's just like, for publishers and creators, it's all-in-one production, blah, 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 who we are, why we're here. And they go on, what we stand for: community, transparency, excellence and empathy, inclusion, shared responsibility, and joy. And half these are because of that Camilla 10-1. But there's nothing on here. Made in the Fuga's questions. There's no place on here. Why can I purchase? If I purchase, it's about purchasing and shipping. There's no place on here that says, hey, how can I have my campaign on your site? Because they're making it out like it's a crowdfunding campaign, and they are crowdfunding, but they're not they're not letting anybody on there. They're only letting their friends on there.
This sounds like a publisher that's just doing its own in-house pre-order system, which anybody can do. Anybody with a Shopify store can do that.
They keep trying to spin it like, oh, look, we're going to be crowdfunding because we're going to help creators. But it basically is, help us help our people by giving us your money while we make it sound like we might help you.
But again, I'm like, if I were these creators, I'd be like, I have a better chance of making more money on Kickstarter or IndieGoGo right now because people are actively looking for comics. Why am I going to go to a website that nobody gives a shit about? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I mean, and no one knows what it is. They're going to go to where they know. It doesn't sound like they're open to people coming on to it at this point. It doesn't mean that won't change in the future. But the way they have these projects scheduled out and the way they talk, it sounds like we're going to be using their social platforms and their ins and stuff like that. So it's basically like, it's kind of like Bread Pig.
Yeah, Bread Pig did, but the thing is, Bread Pig used, for those of you who don't know, Bread Pig was kind of a fulfillment marketing company. I don't know if they're still around or not.
But they only went with the people they thought were big people.
Yeah, they would do a lot of the big webcomics, Kickstarters,
and just anybody could get help.
Yeah, if they thought you could pull 6 figures plus, they would talk to you, right? And they had a massive mailing list because they ran all these campaigns. And I don't even know if they're still around, but they did the fulfillment and everything too.
Mm-hmm. This all reminds me. It's already been done.
Yeah.
It was already been done by people, but they were webcomics, not these people that, I want the signature white glove concierge. You put my everything up and do everything for me service because I'm me.
I think I really think the thought process here is if we separate ourselves out from the riffraff on
We'll
Kickstarter,
rise to the top because we're the cream.
yeah, we're the cream. Zoop is the cream. The cream inside
Zoop
the
is
candle.
the goop that rises to the top.
The goop inside the candle. Yeah. I think that's what they're thinking. I think they're like, well, if we get people going to this site and there's only 5 or 10 crowdfunders on here and they're all our people, we're going to, but the thing is you got to get people to that site. And I don't think they're going to go.
I just think it's funny. It's run by 3 white guys. And Camilla Zhang.
Camilla Zhang. I'm not, well, she's an advisor, but yeah,
How dare you?
They sound very like ICV2. I mean, they've been keeping track of all the crowdfunding and all that and the numbers and how Kickstarter is up 59% in 2020. This is where people are buying comics now, especially with the comic shops, a lot of them being closed. And I think they're just kind of like humoring them because they're kind of like, well, hey, these other platforms have been around for a really long time now in internet years, and why do you think you can just like come in and compete with them? And they're calling Kickstarter and IndieGoGo their competitors.
I know, it's like, yeah, that's it's like me selling hamburgers out of my garage, and then for a garage sale, and then saying that McDonald's is my competitor.
Yeah, McDonald's there across the street. Yeah, they wish they were us.
They're afraid of us.
They're afraid of us. Me and my little hamburger stand.
I only sell my friends' hamburgers.
Good luck, I guess. I could see a publisher, again, this is the only way that this would make sense. Yeah, it's people who publish comics. The only way this would make sense is if you decide you wanted to start doing pre-orders through your own website, which anybody can do. People have been doing that for years. Webcomics people have been doing it.
Crowdfunding came from the idea of webcomics.
They stole it from webcomics people. Yeah, they did. They used to do pre-orders for books before Kickstarter, before Patreon. And you wanted to do it that way and maintain a mailing list and do it that way. That's cool as a publisher, but to have a whole platform for it just seems ridiculous. Just hire somebody. If you need to have somebody manage your campaign, just hire them and then use one of the established platforms because that's where the audience actually is. And yeah, you got to funnel your own people over there, but
these guys are going to funnel their own people over there too. They said that we're going to run some ads, but we're going to use their platforms. And back in the day, you could advertise in places like Project Wonderful and stuff like that, but they've all folded by now. So
yeah, so this guy worked on Berserker. Okay, I don't know. I don't know.
Project manager on it.
Yeah, I don't know. People backed it because it was Keanu Reeves.
That's what it was. It wasn't because of you, and they wanted you. It was because it was Keanu Reeves.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this one up.
Yep.
All right, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.